Hello everyone, and welcome to another video. This week we're going to be doing something a little bit different. I want to share with you guys a bit of a studio update. So basically I have three main crafty hobbies that I regularly practice, and those are sewing, knitting, and painting. And I'm sure many of you can relate. Sometimes it can be challenging when you have crafty hobbies to find space in your home for them, to have a little setup where you can go and do your creative thing. Some of you may have an entire room to dedicate, and some of us work from a corner of a room or the kitchen table. Personally, I am very fortunate to have a basement, and while the majority of the basement is filled with kid toys and games and all of that sort of thing, I do have a corner that I've carved out for myself for my sewing area. And today I have a couple of updates that I want to do to that space. I've tried a few different configurations of furniture, and I think I've rearranged things in a way that is most functional currently. And I have a new table for my sewing machines that just arrived today that I want to put together. So part of this is going to be showing you my sewing and knitting and painting spaces, but also a few updates, some new furniture, and I thought it would be fun to just take you guys along with me. If you're new here, my name's Rebecca, and typically I make videos all about sewing, knitting, making a sustainable, slow fashion, handmade wardrobe. And today I want to show you where I do all of the creating, a little bit of a behind the scenes look into my creative space or spaces that I've carved out for myself within our home. If you're also interested in that sort of content, please do hit the subscribe button below. So I think first I'm going to show you my current setup in the basement where I have my sewing machines. I have 3 sewing machines that I use regularly, and show you what's going on and what we're going to be making some changes to. Okay, so we are now in the basement in my sewing corner, and basically what I've got set up is I have 2 desks here that have my 3 sewing machines on them. These are just old desks. They're not an ideal situation. They're different heights. There's shelving underneath one that makes it a little bit hard to get your feet and knees under there comfortably. I used to have a large L-shaped desk in this corner here, and you've probably seen that in some of my other videos or seen little glimpses of it. It wasn't super functional because it's about counter height, and so I couldn't comfortably get the machines on there and then reach the presser feet on the floor, hence the 2 desks that I've been using instead. My plan is to replace these 2 desks with one long work table. Initially I thought I would go the IKEA route because I've seen people take like the IKEA butcher block countertop and put basically like a filing cabinet or legs on it underneath it to support it, and then have multiple sewing machines in one long kind of counter table situation. It was actually more affordable to get a workbench, like something that typically you would buy for power tools. And they're very sturdy. They're meant to hold a lot of weight, which is great because I'm going to have multiple sewing machines. And the top, I think the one I got is 96 inches, and it's got a solid wood top, so very similar to what you would get from like a butcher block countertop. So here are the sewing desks from another angle. As you can see, it's just one long wall, and functionally I do like being able to wheel between them, but I think it's going to be a lot better with just one long table. So this is the before, and hopefully by the end of this video, there will be a very satisfying after. Okay. My current cutting table that you can see on the right here was kind of an inexpensive collapsible one, and I do hope to upgrade that in the future as well to something a bit larger and a bit more sturdy, but this is what we're working with for now. One disadvantage of sewing in a basement is that there are spiders and spider webs, so we're gonna clean it up. Okay. Also worth mentioning, if you've been around for a while, you might know that this basement used to have a dark maroon red carpet, and the walls were a brown fake paneling. So obviously I have ripped the carpet out of this area and painted the walls white, which has really helped to brighten the space. Okay, I'm out of breath. I have the 2 tabletops And then the 3 steel leg pieces. Looking at the bottom of these, I do see that all of the little pilot holes for screwing the legs in are already pre-drilled, which is awesome because I didn't want to do that. And yeah, I'm going to take a look at the instructions. It's raining today, and the delivery guy left the box outside, and it was very heavy and I could not carry it. So I opened it and then I carried in all of the pieces one at a time. But now it's safely inside, out of the rain, and I can figure out how to begin the assembly of my new table. The wood is very solid, it is very heavy, and I like the color. It's very smooth. I think it's going to be a great surface for my machines. Now I just have to put everything together. I think it's worth noting that I didn't begin with a dedicated space for my sewing area. This is something that has developed over the years, and as I began to understand that this was a craft that I was going to be doing a lot and long term, I think in the beginning it's totally fine to just pull out your sewing machine and put it on your dining room table. And if it becomes something that you're doing multiple times a week for years and you see yourself doing that for the foreseeable future, it makes sense to invest in a table like this. I absolutely love how this setup is working. I raised the height of the desk to be a few inches higher than like typical table height because I'm quite tall and I didn't want to be bending over the machines. I love that the table accommodates for large pieces of fabric, and I think this was a really worthwhile investment into my creative space, and it makes me really excited to start a new sewing project. Now let's go back upstairs. I recently got this really large ottoman, which is nice. It makes the couch a nice place to put your feet up and knit and read. I actually rearranged the living room to have the couch in front of the bookshelf. For the longest time, it was on the opposite side of the room, but I really like having a little cozy corner with my books easily accessible behind me, and I like how it looks as a background for videos too. So this is my knitting corner of the living room. So this is the opposite side of the living room where I have moved all of my painting supplies. These 2 easels used to also be downstairs, but I found that I just wasn't painting as much because despite whatever type of lighting situation I tried to create down there with artificial light, it really is just not the same as having natural light to paint from to see things like more accurately. So as my kids are a little bit older now and I'm not worried about them messing with my paints, I've moved it upstairs and I've kind of taken over the living room a little bit, but that's okay. They have most of the basement for all of their toys. So yeah, this is right opposite of the couch where I enjoy knitting. This is my painting space and I'm really pleased with it. It's nice to be able to paint in an area where, you know, my kids are hanging out too, and I'm finding that I'm painting a lot more having it set up and not having to kind of put things away every time. So yeah, very pleased with the current knitting and painting and reading living room. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully this was an interesting video. I know that personally, I really enjoy seeing into other people's creative spaces, and whether it's a full studio, a dedicated room, or just a little corner of someone's home where they have found space to pursue their creative interests, I think it's really interesting. So let me know in the comments below if you enjoyed this video, this type of thing, and also let me know what your setup is. I would love to know if you are working with a full room for your crafts and creative hobbies, or if you're also kind of carving out little corners around your house. I would love to know what works for you guys. I'm really happy with how the table turned out. I'm really excited to start a new sewing project and put it to good use. So I think that's going to be it for this week's video. I hope you guys are all doing really well, and I look forward to chatting with you in the next one very soon.